Hello and welcome to Ivory Blush Roses. My name is Lisa, and today we're going to continue on the CQtober project. Obviously it's November now, but I had to take a week off. I had a little minor health scare that put me in the emergency room a little over a week ago, and I needed to take some time off and rest and kind of de-stress. I think we're back on track now. Through the month of November, I'm not going to be putting out as many videos as I did in October, but my hope is to still be putting out at least 2 videos a week, and maybe 3 if I can swing it. I occasionally have some other work that I do, and I've got that coming up a little bit more this month, and that slows me down a little bit, but everything is fine. I needed some time to rest and recover. And I also had some time spent with my grandkids, and we had a fun autumn day raking leaves and playing in leaf piles. And today we're going to get back to our CQtober project. I apologize for the unscheduled week off. So let's go ahead and get going. We're going to jump back in time to when I stitched this seam. Let's get stitching. Today I'm working on the CQtober project, working on seam 16. This puts us at or over the halfway point. I really loved the last seam that I stitched, and I think it's one of my favorite on the whole project. Let's see what we're going to be doing today. Have our bowl of stitches. Let's see what it says. It's another type of feather stitch. This one is a straight-sided feather stitch. And this is one that we have not used on this block. It's a pretty tight stitch. Let's see where we want to do it. Now I have a number of smaller seams that we need to do. Either side of that is one. And then I also have one right next to the seam we did last time. That's also a smaller one. That one we're going to do all as one. I think we want something slightly bigger for that one. So we're kind of small over in here. Where do I want to do this? I just feel like I need something wider there. I think that's what's keeping me from doing that one. I don't know here. My gosh. This is getting harder to choose which seam to work on. We could even come out in here. Actually, let's do this one. Let's do this one right here. So colors. I know on this one, I really liked this orange and the way that showed up on there, so that's a possibility. And I think that's this one. It showed up really nice, and we're going to be doing this on either side here. And then we'll need at least one other color. We haven't done any green stitching down in here, so I think we need to choose a green. This one's that medium green. I feel like it gets lost in there. Let's try this cooler green. I think the cooler green is better. Let's go with that. Do we need a third color? I'm not sure. I think on this one we just need to stitch and see what we get up to. Straight feather stitch is one where the sides are straight, and so the zigzags go back and forth between 2 straight lines. My seam may be anywhere from here to here on this project, so I'm actually thinking I'm going to stitch this completely over here on this side of it. So let's see how this goes. We're going to start off stitching. I want to think, how wide do I want to make this? And let's go there. I think we're not quite half an inch. I'm going to try and make this about the same size. Yeah, that's right. And then we're going to come up here. And now we're going to come down here. So you want to pull this one fairly tight to get it to go. And then we're going to come up here again, back down in that same spot. Now we're going to come. So if there's my middle, I want to come down twice as far, roughly. So it ends up looking a little bit like a ladder. We're going to come along there through that loop. And we're going to go down there. Now that's not going to go straight. Remember, it's going to come down. By holding it out this way, I can see that my lines are parallel. That's just such a great technique to use. I'm going to go down at the bottom of that one. I'm trying to do this so you can actually see what I'm doing. And I'm going to come here. Again, I'm trying to keep this as straight as possible. On one edge I have my seam, which is helping me, but over there I don't have that. And then we're going to come up there. And we're going to come up, I think, right in there. I think I'm going to finish this one off with sort of a half stitch, and I'm just going to come up in the corner here. And we're going to just go down and kind of tie that off. Now, normally you wouldn't need to do that necessarily, but I wanted to have the stitching on both sides all the way down. So let's tie that one off with that thread. And then we can think about how are we going to embellish this seam. I have our green that we were going to use. Let's think about a second color because I think we may want something else on this. And I think this might be one where we just come up in here. I'm looking at this, and those are pretty much lazy daisy shapes. I thought I was going to use green next, but I'm actually wondering if I want to use the red and make two sort of half wheels of lazy daisies here, and then bring out the green in between them. I think that's what I want to do, because I think that, does that show up enough? I'm going to wish I had something that was redder. I don't want redder on this. What about, oh, that shows up even less. Well, we could always do our gold. I don't really want the gold there though. I think we're going to go with the burgundy. So let me get that threaded up because I didn't have that prepared. Every seam takes on its own appearance. Some are flashier than others. Some are going to stand out more than others, and some are going to sort of disappear. And that's okay. Everything doesn't have to be exactly the same. So I think we're just going to do two wheels of lazy daisies here. I'm going to go ahead and start with one here in the center. And I don't need to come all the way out, so I think we're going to make these a little shorter. And the thicker thread on that is going to help it stand out a little bit. I probably should have done that one just slightly higher. That's okay. We'll make it work. And we're going to come out. Maybe I do just want to do 3 of those. Let's just do 3. I thought I was going to do 5, but I think we're going to do 3. And then down. Now, do you think we should do that on both sides? Or is it enough to do it on one side? There we go. Now I've got a long way to go between these here, so I'm just pushing my needle through the backing. Down in the same hole. And wanting to come up even with the other one. We may decide we need to add something to the other side, but I'm not quite ready to go there yet. I feel like I'm fumbling a little bit today. So if I were to come over and do them on the other side, the spacing doesn't work out because I did those at the base of these, and so they'd be offset. I don't really want that look. So we may come out and do something separate here, but for right now, we're going to call that good. So let me turn it over. We'll make our knot one way or the other here. Oh, I don't think that actually made a knot. I think I unstitched my knot. Don't think I've ever done that I can remember. I'm going to leave that needle threaded. I think we're going to be coming back to it. And then let's get our green. And so now I think I want to come out and make some pistil stitches. I think I'm just going to go out about even with what we've done. It just adds that little bit of interest. And I'm doing 3 wraps on those. That one's out just a little far. I'm trying this different lighting, and I think it's actually harder for me to see. Hopefully it's easier for you to see. There's that. Yeah, just something a little interesting there. You could certainly just do straight stitches. It just depends on the threads you're using and the patterns on your fabric, what you want. I'm going to say it looks unfinished to me, so I do think we need to come down here and do something. Let me turn that over, make my knot. I can see I got a little knot in the thread on the back there at some point. So we have about 15 minutes of stitching in this so far, so not a lot. So I'm thinking of coming up and just going right in the center here and putting one of those on the other side. Just one. We'll see how that looks. Well, I stitched right through the knot. Oh my gosh. Now see, that looks like that's going to cross. Let's do that the other way. Well, I do think that's going to help. I wonder if we're going to need to do kind of a half one of these on either end here though. Let's try it. So I'm just going to do the one that comes up the center. If we don't like it, we can take it out. Keep forgetting to move my needle down the thread. Yeah, I think that's actually helpful. I think that helps finish it off. So let me knot that since I'm kind of working the wrong end. It's a little more thread than I want to carry through. Even catch stitching it, I just don't want that much thread. And of course we have other seams coming up on both sides. But since this is a short little seam, I don't think it hurts to add a little bit extra in here. Got a little bobble there. That's okay. We're gonna let it go. So I'm gonna park that over to the side, and then let's come in with this green and do some pistil stitches here. See if I can make a little semi-repair with that. That green shows up so nice there. All right, we're gonna jump over there. I feel like the added light makes the shadows darker, so I'm not sure this is working as well as I would have liked. It certainly was harder for me to see. I'm also stitching this fairly late in the day, so I don't have the natural light in the room here either. Trying to get a head start for tomorrow. All right, 2 more of those. I think we need some French knots in the middle there. I know that's adding an extra pass on this seam, but I think it's going to need that. So I'm thinking we're going to do that with this green. And I know I need another length of thread to do that, but that's fine. All right, so let's turn that over. Make 2 knots here. I'm only going through the backing fabric when I make these knots. Nothing comes through to the front. So there's that one. Let's get this one. I think that needs a little dot or something in the center of those. And then that would kind of carry through the theme of that pistil stitch. So I think we're going to make these French knots right in what would be the middle of that space. And so I'm going to start with one here. It's going to kind of hide, but that's all right. Yeah, I think this is going to just give it that extra little bit of polish that this seam needs to finish it off. Overall, when I'm working on a project like this, my biggest hope is that all the seams are going to coordinate with one another. I want them to look good together. Some are going to be brighter, more colorful, have more contrast. Some are going to have colors that are a little more subtle. So I'm just looking at the seams here together that I've got right in view in this particular spot. Some of these are pretty subtle here. So we're definitely going to need to be bringing in some bright. This one is really subtle. It's really kind of the blandest seam on the whole project, I think. But that was stitched pretty early on, and I didn't really have a good idea of where I was going with it. And in hindsight, I probably should have gone with a slightly brighter gold there. I think that would have helped. Can't find the loop in my thread there. But the thing that I like about all of these so far is how well they really go together. There's nothing that stands out and says, oh, you don't belong. And that's always a great thing. So there's our seam. It's subtle. It's not a really brightly noticeable one, but I think it works. It works with everything else going on around it. And so I'm happy with that. I'm glad I did that on a shorter seam instead of on a longer one because it's probably not one of my favorites that I've done. But it's all going to work together, and that's what we're looking for. I do need to bring some bright down into this corner. That was a bit shorter of a stitch today, something a little different. Thanks so much for watching. Have a beautiful day, happy stitching, and I'll see you in the next video.